Ladies and gentlemen, the play's the thing. With your host, Judy Sleed. Special guest, Ellen Frank, world-famed artist. Now here is Judy.
Thank you, Lee. And I'm so happy to be talking to Ellen Frank, who is visiting me again with her beautiful, beautiful art. How are you, Ellen?
I'm so happy to be here. I'm fine, thank you.
And your art is just so extraordinary with all these gold. You're painting with real gold.
Yes, it's actually 22 karat gold, and sometimes we're using white gold and red gold and something called moon gold. So we're actually using real gold.
And you are working with young people.
Yes, I am very honored and thrilled to be working with young people who come from all over the world. I had a dream, and I started a dream vision, really, and I started a nonprofit arts organization, and we have what's called an illumination atelier. And illumination refers to the illumination of materials with gold.
I see, it is beautiful.
So this, for instance, is the 22 karat gold leaf, and you can see the little bits of gold all around. So we have a very special purpose. Our purpose is to build a global culture of understanding, of peace and understanding through the power of illuminated art, and this is called illuminated art. It has a marriage of text and image, and it's done with precious metals, such as gold leaf.
And this is something you said you had a dream, and this came out of your dream, this whole project.
This whole project it's had many handmaidens, but it began on a back porch in Amagansett, where I was sitting with a friend, and she said, "Dream, tell me what you would most want." And what I would most want was a workshop, which is what atelier means, based on the Renaissance concept of apprentices working right alongside the master artist. The work I'm showing you could not be done by one person alone. So we work collaboratively. I work with people from Estonia and Slovenia, and we're having someone come from Belarus, and they've come from all over the world to work on these projects.
That's amazing. And how do these people know about this, that they would want to come and work with you?
Well, they find out about us usually on the World Wide Web, and or if we place an ad, for instance, on Craigslist, and then they go through a rigorous process of interviews in order to be accepted.
Who does the interview?
I interview them on Skype very often. So if they're in China or they're in Colombia, we Skype on the internet, and I get to see these shining faces, and I get to have a sense of them in the interview. And first they apply and they fill out an application form. Then if we like them, and the we is usually, I also have the other interns who are with me at that time go through the intern applications. So it's very much a matter of the organization and the project itself continuing itself.
So everyone is involved. And what would be the qualification for people to be accepted?
Well, they have to have a degree of serious philosophical, intellectual inquiry. They need to be fascinated by the meaning of things and interested in exploring meaning. So that is the general umbrella for them. And secondly, or it's not really second, I would say twinning that in importance, is a commitment to art as an instrument for social justice, knowing that art can actually have an impact on our world. And then they need to be skilled with their hands. And at the beginning, we used to take artists who had less experience. Now we take archaeology majors or graduates, and we've had a graduate in Russian literature. But these are young people who've drawn and painted their whole lives, so they're at home with a brush, and they're at home with mixing a color, and they can match a color. So they work with me from the conception of a project through the research for it, through the design for it, through the final making of it.
And who pays for them to come here?
Well, that's such an important question. We are a nonprofit, and we survive by gifts from individuals and grants, and we also survive by selling the work we produce. And the work we produce is museum quality work. It was just at Guildhall Museum, and it's traveling throughout the United States. And so the work has a series of collectors or supporters or patrons. And as they say in this work, no gift is too small, and of course, no gift is too big.
So if anyone wants to contribute, how do they do that?
They would contact me or a member of the board, and through the website. They can look it up in a few different ways. I'll give you the initials. The initials are E, F as in Frank, I, A, F as in foundation.org. They can look up Ellen Frank Illumination Arts, or they could look up Cities of Peace, which is our big project that just was exhibited at Guildhall. And those are paintings that honor world cities traumatized by war. And the goal of the paintings is by honoring the history and culture of these great cities, the goal is to transform anguish and suffering into beauty and understanding.
It's amazing. So let's see some of these beautiful work that you've done.
Great. Well, let's start with Lhasa. Lhasa is, of course, the capital of Tibet. Now we know that Tibet is part of China.
Yes.
And this is a small piece. It's a giclée print, but it actually has the 22-karat gold applied by hand on each print. And these are inspired by the large monumental Cities of Peace paintings. So this, for instance, is called Lhasa, 10 Directions, and it honors the Buddhism that is the dominant practice, spiritual practice in Lhasa. And it has hand positions, which are called mudras, and it has an image of the home of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and it has the gold leaf columns from the Jokong Monastery in Lhasa.
It is beautiful.
Thank you. Just to give your viewers, a sense of size, in the actual painting, these hands are true scale. They're actually the hands of everyone who worked on the painting. So if you see this size next to the size of my hand, that's how much bigger the actual paintings are. So this was a very exciting piece because I had the great honor of meeting with one of the partners, close associates of the Dalai Lamas in India, a man named Taisitu Rinpoche.
Wow.
And he gathered together Nobel laureates, all the peace winners from the Nobel Peace Prizes, to discuss what qualities were necessary to achieve peace. And they decided understanding was necessary. And that became really the goal for all of our work, to build a culture of understanding.
Oh, this is just amazing, amazing. And this next painting, so these are just replicas of the original, right?
These are replicas, but they're also originals in their own right. So when these, for instance, are offered for sale, they're offered for sale either as a suite, the Cities of Peace Treasure Suite, or individually.
Uh-huh. Oh.
This is Jerusalem. And you can see it's different colors of gold. It's got red gold and 22 karat gold. And this is a border that's actually an Islamic floral design. But the space between the flowers happens to be the Star of David. So that within Islam is Judaism, and within Judaism, I'm using the word within metaphorically, that they can hold hands. All the great religions and the minor religions and atheism, that people of all persuasions and faiths can work together, can form one pattern. And this has the Dome of the Rock. And then in the large painting, you can actually see it has building for building Jerusalem, with its synagogues and its shrines and its churches. So it unites really in the imagery all the Abrahamic faiths. And it's called Jerusalem, a painting toward peace.
It is beautiful, and it's just amazing, all the work and the thought that goes into each piece.
Thank you.
And how many people would you say worked on this?
Well, on the big painting, it was the first of the Cities of Peace paintings, so it was only 2. It was right before I started the foundation, and it took a year. One painting took a year. And I worked on it with a wonderful young assistant. And it was with the conclusion of Jerusalem, a painting toward peace, and following my meeting with Taisitu Rinpoche, that Cities of Peace was born.
Well, just looking at you, I'm looking at that bracelet you're wearing. That's very interesting because I saw you putting it on.
Thank you.
Is that something you made?
This is a wonderful piece of original art by the designer Chen Lu, and it's actually a wraparound thing. And it sparkles, and it was given to me by my daughter and her roommate, and I love it.
It is very interesting.
Thank
I've
you
never
so
seen
much.
anything like that.
Thank you.
And then those beautiful rings you have.
Thank you.
And the way you put yourself together is just very artistic.
Thank you.
It shows anybody who sees you would say, well, this is a lady who's involved with art.
Thank you. It's funny because I've been writing a lot of poetry lately, and I come from a different background. I come from being an English professor, a professor of English literature and aesthetic theory at Berkeley.
Is
So
that talking about yourself?
I'm talking about me, yeah. So I come also with a love of words. In fact, there's text in a lot of these paintings. There's poetry that honors these great cities and little phrases. Let me show you one that has text in it.
How long ago did you start this?
We opened our doors in 2005, and we have young interns, 2 young interns coming this weekend to begin our 7th summer season. So it's very exciting.
Well, you did a lot of work. In
We
this
did
such a
so
short
much
time.
work.
Yes.
Let me just show you this, Judy, because
Okay.
this has again, it has text in it, some of which you would say doesn't look like text. So what this is this honors the city Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Yes.
And most people don't know that in 1991, when Sarajevo was under siege, it was the site of the single largest book burning in modern history. More than 2 million books were destroyed, and 1,500 illuminated manuscripts. That means the great original books done in gold leaf, done by monks and done by scribes. The entire recorded history of Bosnia-Herzegovina was destroyed forevermore. So this painting honors Sarajevo, and when I say we marry text and image, this is a star pattern from Islam, and it culminates in this pattern. And guess what? This pattern is called Kufic, and that means it's stylized Arabic, and this is a prayer. And it says, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, which is, there is but one prophet, or the great prophet, Muhammad, that announces Muhammad. And yet it also has Aramaic from the Hebrew illuminated manuscript. And it has images from the great cathedral and images from the Sarajevo Haggadah, the Passover story. So it has all of that, plus text, and plus text that's probably too small for you to see, but in the large paintings, you can read it. It has text in Cyrillic, and it has text in using Russian language, and it has texts announcing the deeds of Sarajevo. So when you see this, you get a taste of history. You become informed about things you no longer know or you didn't know ever. You become informed, and then you have a memory at the same time.
Well, it is just actually mind-boggling that how much knowledge goes and information goes into this painting. Because I'm talking to Ellen Frank, who by now, minute by minute, she's getting more famous with all these beautiful things, because I don't think there is any other person who does this in the whole world.
Well, that would be sad indeed if I were the only one in the world. But there are more and more of us. When I began, there were very few. In fact, Prince Charles started a school in London called the School of Traditional Arts in order to preserve some of these art forms from the threat of extinction. And Donald Jackson, who's the calligrapher to the Queen, is working on an illuminated manuscript actually in the United States. But I think you're right in that we have the only program like this, the only training program to really train young illuminators in the art of illumination. So our program is unique, and there are more and more people learning to do this and reviving this beautiful and ancient art form.
Okay, let's look at another
Okay.
one.
Let me show you Hiroshima.
Wow, that is gorgeous.
Hiroshima is in two other kinds of gold. This is all white gold, and this is called moon gold. And this is actually taken from a map of Hiroshima, an aerial reconnaissance photograph right before the United States dropped the bomb. So what we have is, since it's called Cities of Peace, and we're honoring these great cities traumatized by war, absolutely decimated, but we want to have people full of hope and love and cherishing cities. Cities are the fount of civilization. They're the homes of so much of our creative achievements. And so when we talk about preserving the environment and Mother Earth, we also want to preserve the built environment that records the great civilization of the Japanese, the Chinese, the different countries and peoples who have built great civilizations. So cascading across this map is what's called the winter blooming plum blossom, and it symbolizes everlasting life for the Japanese. So it's a painting that is meant to build hope in the world, that there is resilience and hope and mending even in the midst of devastation.
So you mentioned different cities. So when you finish a painting like this, do you send it to the country itself so they could see it?
That's one of our dreams. One of our dreams, we look for sponsors or people to adopt a city. And if we had someone or a group of people who wanted, say, to adopt Hiroshima and our work, then they could help us send all the paintings to Hiroshima. And the exhibition, the Cities of Peace exhibition, would be accompanied by symposia in which they discuss, the guests would discuss art as an instrument for peace. So that's one of our dreams. We've been invited to bring the work to Iraq. Would you like to see our piece, Baghdad?
Oh, of course I would. Yes.
This is Baghdad. And this is just a tiny part of the painting. But you see that this gold, you can touch it, Judy. I'll give you permission.
Oh, it is.
It's raised.
It is raised, yes, it's beautiful.
And it's actually built on garnet, on the garnet gem. I hope the viewers can see that it's raised. And then every painting has a touch of crimson, just a little bit of crimson. You see right here.
Yes.
And that's in honor of the dead.
Oh.
And then this is text. This is cuneiform text from the earliest known creation myth that predates Noah, the story of Noah, predates the story of Gilgamesh. And Baghdad, when it was originally designed, was designed as a circular city with 4 gates. So this is built on the great map of Baghdad. And you know what the name Baghdad, what people, the Iraqi people used to call Baghdad until the last 20 or 30 years?
What?
Dar es Salaam, which means city of peace. So Baghdad was the greatest city on earth from 800 to 1200. Without Baghdad and the Arabic scholars, we wouldn't have Plato or Aristotle. none of the great classics would have survived while Europe slept in the Dark Ages. So
You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, besides these beautiful art that you do, you also have so much the knowledge of history, which is also very important to go along with these paintings.
and it's important in our world. I mean, look at the Arab Spring that we've just gone through, and look at what's happening in the world. It's so important that we respect history and enjoy
I
the
have
arts.
just one, we're running out of time, but it's one very important question. Like
Yes.
all your interns, would they be able to explain these paintings as you do? Do they have the knowledge of all this?
They gain the knowledge.
They gain the knowledge.
Some of them arrive not knowing. They thought Vietnam was in South America.
Oh.
It's shocking. And what I'm so pleased about is the interns really embrace the history and the knowledge, which is so necessary to freedom.
It is just as important, if not even more so, the history, the knowledge, than doing the art. It's beautiful. So let's just very, excuse me, quickly tell us where to, what's your website?
www.efiaf.org. And I've said F twice, standing for Frank or standing for foundation. And
Okay.
you can also find me in the phone book.
Well, thank you so much, Alan Frank, for this all this beautiful artwork and all the history that you shared with us. And well, we could have talked for another another hour.
And you'll have to come to the studio and bring
Yes.
your viewers to the studio. My studio is open to you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. It's been just wonderful,
Thank you.
and thank you again. See, if I didn't look up there, I would have missed the ending. I just looked up and I couldn't believe that it was.
Our time.
Yeah, it's already gone. I couldn't believe that the time is gone. You spoke so beautifully and all this. It was just beautiful.
Thank you.